Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It is Sunday, April 25th, 2021. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, intuitive guide, and empowerment coach. And I'm here on Lotta's channel every Sunday with messages from your angels for traversing the transits. Good morning, Juan. How are you today? Okay, so the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about today, you guys, is we've got Pluto going retrograde Tuesday, and we have the super full moon in Scorpio tomorrow. Good morning, Michelle. And I wanted to talk about the idea of Scorpio and Pluto. I have new glasses and they're a little bit stronger. They're making me feel a little bit dizzy. Anyway, this is what I want to say. Pluto rules control. Pluto rules other people's money. Scorpio, the house of Scorpio, it rules inheritances, taxes, sex. In many ways, all of these elements reveal levels of control. When other people are taking care of us financially, they control us. When we are in a sexual relationship that's very tantalizing and yet out of balance, we feel a sense of control the other person has over us. So what I wanted to talk about essentially today is how this super full moon in Scorpio and the idea that Pluto's going retrograde again in Capricorn, what has control over you? What in this particular juncture, because we've seen this planet going back and forth over the last couple of years. And I think what it's doing is revealing layers and layers of places where we have more power and control than we actually think we have. That's what I think this whole idea of this super full moon is. It's not about identifying a weakness, but rather identifying a strength. And maybe in that strength, there is a little bit of fear. You know, if we talk about the ideas of co-creation, then we are not only co-creating the good things, we're co-creating the bad things. But if we look deeper, Pluto, Scorpio, full moon, into what we're co-creating, is it always flat good or bad? Is it always our fault or someone else's fault? I feel like this is about looking at the deeper layers and what those deeper layers and excavating where we have inadvertently assumed either there is control over us or we feel obligated, and that gives a sense of control. So how can I give you an example of what I'm trying to talk about? Because what I want to talk about is when we think about the laws of attraction, we have an opportunity to turn this Pluto retrograde around to really work for us rather than against us. We have, rather than thinking, oh dear God, there's death coming to me, there's challenge, there's intensity. That intensity is an illumination of where your true power is, and you may have a fear about actually exercising that power. So when I talk about exercising that power, it's not about trying to convince somebody else of your point of view. It's not about flipping the script and suddenly being controlling over somebody else. It's asking yourself, where am I participating in this idea? Where am I participating in the idea that I must do this in order to facilitate that? And this meaning I must have this job to pay these bills. And because I cannot see a way to do what I love and make money, does that mean that that avenue is not there and not open to us? I really want you guys to use this, because we're going to have this Pluto retrograde for like 6 months. I think it's happening all the way till October. Yeah. I think it's October, around the early October. So I want to offer it this way, because as you're willing to look into where are my thoughts repetitive? Where am I clicking into a story that may be true, but does it serve me to focus in on that story? Or does it serve me rather to focus in on what it would feel like once that story was resolved? It's such an opportunity to take the idea that we are co-creating our lives and looking at the challenges that we participate in and asking ourselves a deeper question. Is every challenge meant to tank me, or am I a player in the challenge that has a ripple effect? So it not only works for the other parties involved, but it also works to illuminate something within me. Let me give you the example this way. This is how I kind of want to put it. When you are co-creating, there are levels of your soul that are involved, and only one level is your personality. The personality, the ego that says, no, I cannot, or are you sure, or do you have the resources, or are you pretty enough, young enough, whatever the story is. And then there's the oversoul that's telling another story. So now take those elements and think of yourself as an actor in a play. And your ego is playing the part of the character. And your oversoul is who you really are, holding space for you as you play the part of that character. When you contemplate these ideas, then looking at this Pluto retrograde and looking at this full moon gives you an opportunity to excavate a deeper dynamic within yourself that is actually working to co-create something more powerful and more aligned for you versus something that just feels like it goes around and it never ends. I hope that makes sense, because I think this is a really, really powerful time. I have Pluto squaring my ascendant. It is 1 degree from squaring my Mars in the opposite direction, and it is in a loose square with my sun. And when I've thought about how will Pluto play out with all of these things, I have realized that Pluto's been transiting all my planets for my whole life, either in conjunction, in sextile, in square. And so my whole life has been about transformation. And I could look and focus in on all the challenges that has afforded me, or I could look at all the opportunities that those challenges have afforded me as time has gone on. And I can look at what I want to hold on to and carry with me in the future, or I can also look at how I've evolved past certain things, and some things are just straight up habitual. And when I pay attention to the habit of that thought, I have an opportunity to shift that habit. And the first shift goes into neutral before it goes into the energy that I really want to purport, because you can't go from here to there without some transition. So that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit today, about this whole idea of paying attention to your focus this over this week and this full moon. We know full moons have, a very powerful effect for the weeks ahead and even up to 6 months ahead. And we're going through these layers of cycles as we watch these planets move forward. And we're going to go into a season where everything's going to start going retrograde. And it's starting with Pluto. So rather than bracing for what could potentially happen, where Pluto could blow up your life, it's also thinking of Pluto as really representing the butterfly, going through that transition to become something more in alignment with what you want to experience, and to do it in a way that floats through the experiences versus feeling them as jarring and upsetting. That's where I want to put it. All right, let's go into our readings. I'm going to start with Pisces and work my way towards Aries, as I always do. Oh, I just dropped it. Oh, and look what I dropped. This feels so Plutonian. I dropped the swan. So going from the ugly duckling to the swan, trusting my intuitive gifts and allowing myself to see myself as a player in this. For every hero, there must be a villain. For every reaction, there is, For every action, there is a reaction. If we look at the ripple effect a little bit more, we can be less. I feel like when I see this, I see a tidal wave. Feeling more like a tidal wave is hitting me. I can feel more in alignment with it. All right. I hope that made sense. Here we go. We're going to start with Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. If you have a stellium in any house or sign, that's 3 or more planets. 4 is really the more strict way of looking at it. Pay attention because it indicates a focus within your birth chart. All right. Aries, our first angel is Sonia. The second is Opal. The third is Daniel. And the final is Akasha. What other room? I only opened one room. I don't understand what's going on. Is somebody where's there another room? Did I say Aries? I'm sorry, I meant to say Pisces. Pisces working my way to Aries, my goodness. We're on Pisces, yes. First, starting with the first sign. Is there, I'm so confused. I wasn't really looking in the chat. Did you just say Aries? Shelley, no, I'm sorry. I meant to say Pisces. We're starting with our first sign, going Pisces, working our way towards Aries. Sonia is being joined by the cow. Opal is being joined by the bear. Daniel's being joined by the Lady of the Lake. And Akasha's being joined by the Queen. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm so confused about alternative rooms. I only opened one thing this morning that I know of. So I'm so surprised. I didn't know I did a reminder. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm so confused. And my new glasses are messing with my eyes trying to look at the screen. Okay, Pisces. Again, we're focusing in on the full moon in Scorpio. This is a super moon. This means it's going to be looking really bright in the sky. And I feel like this Pluto is not about, or Scorpio and the Pluto retrograde is not about really being afraid of a death, but focusing in on the rebirth, because we have Sonia. Sonia in many ways could represent Scorpio in this deck. It could represent Pluto because it represents our deceased loved ones, and that they are reaching out to us from the other side, telling us that they are well and they are loved and they are cared for. And here we have the cow, which represents abundance. So where I'm going with this is I believe that as Pisces reaches into the depths of their connection to spirit, you will start to feel a sense of nourishment as you go through this cycle that's being illuminated by the Pluto retrograde and this Scorpio full moon, because it's time to tell a new story about your life. And this is one that talks about how God and the angels are caring for you. So the challenges that you are encountering are allowing you to illuminate truly where you have been inadvertently controlled by thought or by expectation, and allowing yourself to integrate that into a place of balance for yourself. Because now, this is Daniel in the angel's advice, the angel of marriage. But to me, this is the partnership, and this comes into partnership with your deeper truth. The truth that is illuminated through a bit of a storm. The Lady of the Lake represents courage to dig down deep into whether or not the story you're telling yourself is truly serving what you want to experience on this planet. Because I believe that all of us, as souls walking on this earth, are offering opportunities for each other that we interact with to not only act as teachers, but also to be the students of the situation. Because in the final experience, in the final position is Akasha, the spiritual teacher, and we have the Queen. And I feel like this is an opportunity for Pisces to connect with the deeper part of their soul and their team on the other side, to feel nourishment in order to receive bounty and inadvertently teach others how, when we walk through this life experience focused in on lack, we will inadvertently kick in the law of attraction that will create more lack. This is not to villainize you because you feel in lack. It's just an illumination. As you see, oh, I feel lack in my love life. I feel lack in my financial life. I feel lack in my family life. Spirit, I want to feel nourished. I want to feel abundant. And so help to illuminate where I am participating in giving life to my old story so that I can rewrite that story from a place where I'm being supported by spirit. And in doing so, I am willing, as Pisces, rising sun, moon, and stelliums, I am willing to have courage and take responsibility for my co-creation. It's not about villainizing myself for it. It's about an illumination so that I then may stand as a teacher who remembers that I learn and I teach through my ability to receive. The law of attraction is essentially about how our thoughts become a magnet. And then the next layer of that is the law of allowing. And if what we are magnetizing is not something we want to experience, then as we shift those thoughts to, well, what if a new story can be written? What if there's a new story down the line that actually makes the story I'm living right now sweeter and more rich? This is very much about an illumination. Okay, here we go. Let's go on to our Aquarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. All right, here we go. We can't forget about Uranus making aspects right now through Taurus. That's going to, there's so many things going on in the sky. While we're focusing in on this full moon right now, I want you guys to really look at the ripple effect. All right, Aquarius. Our first angel is Grace and Antoinette. The second is Layla. The third is Bridget. And the final is Bethany. Joining Grace and Antoinette, we have the High Priestess. Joining Layla, we have the Love card. Joining Bridget, we have the Earth Fairy. And joining Bethany, we have the Queen again. Okay, so Grace and Antoinette represents compassion. And from my ever-evolving perspective, compassion in many ways is right in alignment on the same level as the love vibration. And when I looked at this, I felt like this was about compassion for self. Again, here we have this super moon in Pluto, which is going to illuminate a lot of the imbalance that's going on in our lives. Many people have been feeling the storm period of Pluto as it has stationed to go retrograde. We are going to be revisiting many of the dynamics that we have already visited, both communal as a humanity, as a global community, and then within our individual lives. And through this illumination, what I think is happening for Aquarius, you're being called upon to be compassionate. And the compassion feels like it comes from an inner knowing. If there's one thing Scorpio represents, it's intuition at a very deep level. And that can be in balance or out of balance. But to me right now, this is about having compassion for a transitionary period, where you see yourself in two worlds, yesterworld and then the world of tomorrow, where you want to be. So as you walk through this period, your opportunity and or your obstacle is to connect to this love vibration of compassion. As you speak with spirit, you connect with them and you start to focus in on what your intentions and desires are. Because just the way the planets, as they go retrograde, they are called forth to slow down and appear to station It's the same thing as we transition out of a situation. So as you, Aquarius, look deeper into this transition and what it has to offer you, which is a more stable new beginning. It's a more rooted foundation in the vision of what you want and the journey of manifestation, which does require compassion for self and others as we ebb and flow. When we start to feel the wheels of change working for us, we have this tendency as humans to get nervous. Oh no, I'm happy. If I'm happy, something bad's going to happen. If I'm not happy, something bad's going to happen. It's almost a knee-jerk reaction. So as we still go into the idea, or we allow ourselves the privilege of looking as that's part of the journey, then we learn more how to take care of ourselves as we go through the idea of receiving, of reception, of the compassion of self-care, and how that has something to teach us every phase. You know, I kind of think about, I've been studying past lives with Brian Coulter, and when we get to a cusp of a house, he's teaching me to pop it into the next house. And I've got this weird resistance because I think every degree in every house has an opportunity to teach us something and for us to experience something that we've been taught. So for my Aquariuses, this is an opportunity for you to really sit in compassion as you flesh out the vision of what you want and start to learn how to connect with spirit in this vibration of I deserve. And in doing so, as you look deeper into where you may have believed you didn't deserve, or inadvertently you were kicking in the law of attraction that was tripping you up, it's okay, because you're learning how to look deeper without judgment to create a new foundation so that you can walk in reception and understand how that truly feeds you. A lot of, I want to say this because I think that, you know, we talk about Mercury retrogrades bringing back old lovers and old people in our lives, but all retrogrades offer review. All retrogrades offer reevaluation. And I don't think that that's about judgment. I think it's about assessment. So as we assess things, we take this harsher energy off it, and then it just offers us more opportunities. So that's what I think all this is about right now. All right. If I don't respond to you guys in the chat, I kind of can't see it with these new glasses on. I'm kind of blind. It's kind of weird to say that. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Elle. Oh my goodness, I wish I could go grab my old glasses over there. I think I'm going to do that. Hold on, you guys. This is driving me crazy. Oh, much better. I can see you. I don't know why I felt so blind. Those are new glasses. They were supposed to make me see better. All right, let's go on to our Capricorns. I feel like I'm back here. Who's yawning? I know, I have to be able to see. I don't know why. I thought I could go the whole broadcast without, but I can't. All right. Good morning, bomb.com. Good morning, Tebow. Good morning, Elle. Good morning, Shelly, Stephen. Good morning, Juan. If I didn't say hi, good morning, Small Wildflowers. I didn't get to say hi to anyone because I couldn't see you. All right, Capricorn. Our first angel is Ariel. Our second is Athena. The third is Rochelle. And the final is Caressa. Thank you, Sabrina. My hair, the weather today is quite humid, so my hair starts off one way and starts doing other things. Hi, CJD. Lucky is great. I don't know if you can see him. He's underneath the desk. He's doing very well. We have one final checkup, but his biopsy came back and it was completely benign. Nothing was, no big deal. So I'm not expecting anything else. Okay. Capricorn, joining Ariel is the horse. Joining Athena is the wind fairy. Joining Rochelle is the earth fairy. And joining Caressa is the fire fairy. Wow. Okay. So Capricorn, I have been feeling for the longest time that you have been offered so many opportunities to use, your goat energy in a way that's actually serving you versus this old goat chewing on the tin can that we've talked about. So here we have Ariel talks about new psychic and spiritual experiences changing the way you view yourself and the world at large. And then here's the horse. And the horse to me is very much about intuition, because the horse is a prey animal. It's a very intuitive animal. And then we also have this sort of, I don't know if you can see this purple hue down here at the end. I feel like this just supports that, and this animal willing to go in a new direction. And that new direction also feels very Sagittarian to me. So here we have Ariel offering Capricorn an opportunity to move into foreign ideas, foreign things that come from the heart chakra versus the eye chakra versus the physical eyes. As I got my glasses back on now, I can see the chat. So I'm multitasking here. So Capricorn, I think you have an opportunity to start to move towards trusting a more spiritual experience. That means things that you cannot see with your eyes. You cannot touch necessarily with your hands, because in the opportunity or the obstacle is the wind fairy and Athena. And this goes right back to why I entitled this show, The Law of Attraction. Because the wind fairy would indicate my focus, and it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself, thereby kicking in the law of attraction. And I want to offer it this way, because this is going to be a journey, a foreign journey that you go on. And in many ways, it's about taking your time walking through this journey of paying attention to, what have I been thinking? I've been thinking as a Capricorn, I have to do this. If I don't do this, nobody else will do this. Or if I don't, pay the bills, no one else will support paying the bills. So as you start to give life to the idea that, wow, maybe if I start to think, you know what, I'm just going to take care of my story right now. I'm going to stay in this little moment and just take care of my thoughts. And maybe those thoughts are, I don't know who's going to take care of the bills, but the bills will get taken care of. Because in the angel's advice, Capricorn, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, prosperity is coming to you. And this is not just financial prosperity. This is harmonious wealth, where you're feeling relaxed, a sense of calm within your life, because now you're being offered a new foundation, and that new foundation is being more powerful about the thought process, about the direction of your thoughts. And in doing so, Caressa offers you a new chapter and new happiness that awaits you. And this is a time of optimism. This is a time to be excited about the power you have of directing your thoughts. So the law of attraction is just one level. The real caveat, or the real carrot, I should say, is the law of allowing. Because as we see what we attract, then we decide if we want to allow it into our lives, if it is something that we want to actually experience, because there's a couple things going on there. First of all, as the Capricorn, you may think you haven't worked hard enough to deserve it if it happens too fast. And when you start to connect with spirit and you align in a way that is not getting interruptive with your manifestation, things will happen quickly. And sometimes the human will think, how could it happen that fast? Is it possible? Because alignment is like magic. It just happens instantaneously, or the doors start to blow open. So overall, for this full super moon in Scorpio, as it excavates in our life and illuminates where we're getting in our own way, and not to judge it, not to crucify it, but rather to say, oh, there's a piece of information I can work with. And as I know that piece of information, thank you, Spirit, for putting me in the neutral zone. I can't quite decide whether or not I deserve. So when I go into the neutral zone, then I'm able to traverse the yay and the nay of it. That's the way I want to put it. And as I do that, I get into deeper levels of deserving, because as a Capricorn, know that I've worked hard on believing that I deserve, I then invite others to join me in that journey. So that's where I'm going. Okay. Very exciting. And this is the other thing, because we're at a full moon. So this is the end of, or I shouldn't say the end, because if indeed Capricorn goes through a chapter where you are once again finding yourself stuck in an old repetitive way of thinking that doesn't work for you, this is an opportunity to know that that's just another piece of information that then allows you to step into a place that's more inspired. Okay? All right. We're going to go on to our Sagittarius. All right, Sabrina, I am not biracial. Technically, I'm half Armenian and half Scottish. So I have some olive in me and I have some pasty white in me. That's where all my curly hair comes from, if that's what you're asking. I wish I could claim to be biracial. That would be kind of fun. I don't know. Maybe if I did Ancestry, I'd find out I am. But as far as I know, I'm half Armenian, half Scottish. Okay, Sagittarius, here we go. Social connection. This is Western astrology. I studied with Lotta and a few other teachers. I do whole sign Western astrology for the purpose of these readings. I go by, first I look at my ascendant. Then I look at my moon, because I believe and I'm 100% convinced that we manifest on our emotions, and what we carry from lifetime to lifetime are not the situations we've encountered, but the emotions of it. Then I go to our sun. If you have a stellium, which is 4 planets or more, 4 meaning that that's kind of a more strict way. Some people say 3. That is a focus in your chart that should be paid attention to, because your soul has chosen to address that dynamic in this lifetime. Okay. Here we go. Woo. Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Celeste. The second is Vanessa. The third is Oceana. And the final is Rochelle. Fun. Oops. Social connection. If you have 4 planets in Leo in the 11th house, you are meant to be a leader for others. And that is fabulous. Oh my goodness. I can only imagine some of those planets are probably floating around Regulus as well. Wow. I'd like to see your chart. Sounds kind of amazing. Okay, here we go. Sagittarius. Celeste represents a new move to a new home or a new place of employment. And more times than not, I see it as a shift in the way I'm thinking. And as I move forward, this is a shift towards what is sacred to me. This is Lancelot coming in and bowing down to the whole, I want to say, oh my God, I want to say it's the Holy Grail, but I'm not sure I'm saying it right. Because I want to say it this way. This is a time, this is what this full moon is all about, illuminating, excavating to the deeper levels of your truth. And it is a time we are all being activated to live that truth, because we are shifting this world. We're shifting this universe. And in doing so, it's meant to be more of a nirvana. This Garden of Eden idea is not so absurd. The challenge is we've gone into this slave mentality towards our wallets and towards our obligation to others. So as Sagittarius has more faith in the idea of this rebirth, this is the opportunity you have right now, is to look where you have made your decisions based on fear or obligation or some sort of duty, and then to reassess if indeed that duty, that obligation serves you, because you're being offered a rebirth. And what is Scorpio? Death and rebirth. What is Pluto? The same thing. And I want to remind you that Pluto, while it's a very small planet, on the face of the planet from space, you can see this heart, and it's illuminated in this white and it's cold, as far as I remember from my science shows. But I think it's cold because in many ways it's asking us to be not cold in the sense of unfeeling to others, but in some ways we have to make our own feelings as important as others' feelings are. Otherwise, we're never going to truly sit in a vibration that allows us to honor the truth within ourselves, honor that sacred part of ourselves, because Oceana is asking you to make a choice. The mystery card is all about free will and the choice to move towards what you love, towards what is most authentic to you. Sanasa, the full moon is either tomorrow night or tonight, depending on where you are in the world. I'm in the Pacific time, so it is tomorrow, and then Pluto will go retrograde on the 27th, Tuesday here. So, okay. As we move on. All right, I'm on Sagittarius, right? I just kind of lost my train of thought. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm on Sagittarius, correct? Yes. We're on going. Okay, because I want to say this for Sagittarius, and the final position is Rochelle. Rochelle says, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, prosperity is coming to you. And there's the wealth card. These two cards together not only represent, yes, material wealth, but more so harmonious wealth. Wealth within your physical body, your emotional body, your spiritual body, your financial body. Did I say financial already? Your family body, your friendship body, all of the facets that make the human experience, because this opportunity to look at a deeper levels of what is our truth is never about judgment. I want to be so clear about that. It's an assessment. And as I'm willing to shift my way of thinking into, yes, as I stand and think that what's important to me is actually being of service to others. Because what I'm saying is that if this is important to me, then whatever is important to you is okay. Now, that's where we take the law of attraction and we move it to the higher level of a law of allowing. I'm not only allowing my good experiences and the things I want, but I'm allowing you and your choices to matter as well. So give yourself permission for the rebirth based on faith that when you make those choices, they're going to work for you, and they're going to make you feel ways where when you are challenged, when you are feeling the roller coaster ride of manifestation, you know that there's a purpose to it. And it's just to illuminate where your thought process is and if it's aligned. All right, let's go on to our Scorpios, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Thank you, William. And thank you, Uncle Dan. It's funny, I'm feeling actually that my hair is looking a little dull. Somebody gave me some grief about my long, ugly hair in the last video. They said I was aging myself. Well, everybody, I am older now, and I don't mind anymore. I've grown accustomed to my aging process. All right, here we go. Scorpio, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. This is for you. So let's say this. Scorpio, you are a very, very intuitive sign. And I think sometimes it makes you nervous because as you are intuitive, you will first feel the imbalance of the intuitiveness. So as you call forth to let that imbalance work for you. Okay. People are very funny. I've grown to kind of embrace the comments that may seem not so favorable, because I think if they take the time to do it, somehow I'm in the game. I'm in the arena. All right, here we go. Scorpio, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Ray. The second is Francesca. The third is Teresa. And the final is Maya. I want to say this as I'm shuffling for everybody, but for Scorpio as well. When I first became aware of my thoughts as things and was aware of my manifestation, when I started working for myself, and there were days when nobody booked appointments, and I started to panic. I started to think, oh no, I'm not manifesting. I'm not bringing in appointments. It took me a minute to get deeper in realizing I was actually tired. I needed a day off, and I didn't give myself permission for a day off because I didn't know who would book next. So when I became in a rhythm of recognizing that deeper level of, oh, I'm tired. Because I'm tired, I deserve to rest. And when I'm rested, then spirit will bring in those people because I'll be ready for them. Then I started to relax a little bit and give in to the flow. So that's what I want to talk about, Scorpio. As we talk about you got to trust a little bit of a deeper inner knowing now, and not just look at it as something that's scaring you. Because it could scare you a little. All right, and then there's the protection card. Ray is being joined by the protection card. Francesca is being joined by the High Priestess. Teresa is being joined by the Risk card. And Maya is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. This is perfect. So while this full moon is important for everybody, and I really think if you're a Scorpio, look at what's going on. Is this your Scorpio moon? Because if you're a Scorpio moon, look at the degree. I don't quite remember what degree this moon is going to be, but if it's conjunct, it's super important for you to use it to work for you, because the protection card is a 38. The 38 reduces down. Oh, thank you, Juan and Angie. 7 degrees. Awesome. The 38 reduces down to an 11. The 11 is the master number of thought. And as Scorpio connects with spirit, because here is Ray in a meditative position, connecting her power chakra with her heart chakra and her voice, her throat chakra. Knowing that as you sit in this and your willingness to say, you know what, I'm a Scorpio. I'm brave in digging deeper into what is the truth of my heart, of my soul. Because Francesca is saying, what do you visualize right now? It will come about. Negativity will block your progress. And then there is the High Priestess, this intuitive knowing. And what if in some level this intuitive knowing is that there is a change in the air, and that change in the air is going to make other people maybe potentially not happy with you. But the change is something that you need, Scorpio. You need to express yourself in the depths of who you are. Now I want to go back to look at the 8th house, and what does it rule? It rules, we talked about control, rules money, inheritances, taxes, other people's money. It rules astrology and sex. So what happens when you go through transformation, when you go through trauma, you seek deeper answers. And that's when we get to the occult, the spirituality that the 8th house has to offer. Because Scorpio, you're going to have to risk a deeper knowing of what you know and what you want, and risk in some ways not aligning with other people. And this is not about rubbing up against them and fighting with them. It's more about looking to see if they're pacing with your evolution. Because Scorpio has been learning over and over again, because Pluto's been having a lot of conversations with a lot of planets. And in doing so, you've been called forth over and over again to have the courage to walk into your deeper truth, and to look at it not as something that's selfish, but actually an act of leadership. Because that act of leadership is brave. It's saying, if what's important to me, if I take action on that, and I trust that I connect with spirit, I'm protected in my thoughts. I'm protected in that. This is how I want to put it. Even if my thoughts are tending to go to the darker side, then I'm having an opportunity to see that and to observe it in a way that doesn't judge it, but allows it for the shift. You know, we'll never feel empowerment if we have never felt disempowered. You know, again, this plays back to the contrasting experiences offer us opportunities for empowerment. So Black Venus Mars, I don't know why you're saying 8th house down. 8th house good. 8th house offers us opportunities to be unshackled, regardless of whatever that 8th house is. And that's where you want to kind of look. I have a natural 8th house Scorpio. So what I've seen and what I've observed of myself is my resistance to, I easily can talk to spirit from the other side. But when it comes to people wanting to connect with dead relatives or dead humans that they know, I have a whole weird resistance to that, because in my mind's eye, I've been talking about what people expect. And now in order to be authentic, I have to take risk, not worrying about what other people expect of me, to trust a bigger vision. That's where I'm going with all of this, guys. So allow yourself the permission of knowing that you're being protected. And you're being protected because as you connect with spirit, you're more aware if your thoughts are working for you or if they're stuck in a patterned space. If they're stuck in a patterned space, you have an opportunity to learn through courage. And the courage comes through allowing yourself to go into neutral. Okay. That's where I'm going with this. On to Libra. CJD, if they're empty, then look at the Lord of the house and where they sit. Okay. On to our Libras, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay. There's only 12 houses. Who said 14 houses? There's not 14 houses. There's 12. Small wildflies, I want to say this. Uranus could be making aspects. A lot of people are feeling super nervous about a lot of things and they don't know why. And Uranus is making aspects as it's traversing over my moon and has been for freaking ever. I've learned how to sort of roll with the punches. That's what I'm doing. Thandi, we have not gotten to Gemini. I am Teri Hunter. I go backwards. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. And Juan will put the timestamps in ASAP. He's super, super good about that. Okay, here we go. On to Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And I say stelliums because if you have 4 or more planets in one house or sign, it indicates a focus in your natal chart that you've chosen to work on. All right. Our first angel for Libra is Francesca. The second is Ariel. The third is Astera. And the final is Merlina. Oh, Jessica, I'm sorry about that. That's what I call a co-creation. And I wonder what that deer was co-creating as it ran across the road. It's no fun. All right, here we go. Libra. Francesca is being joined by the partnership card. Ariel is being joined by the stag. Astera is being joined by the spider. And Merlina is being joined by the goblin. This is very interesting. Francesca says, what do you visualize right now? Negativity blocks your progress. And I want to offer this too, because if you're feeling negative about a situation and you try super hard to push yourself into a place of positivity, you're actually going to almost fuel the negativity. So I want to offer this, Libra. Spirit is asking you to contemplate partnerships right now and how you are assessing them. How are you looking at them? Because I'm going to go into the final position. Merlina is saying you're confused and indecisive, and then there's the ego. The ego is, for me, where you edge God out. So as a Libra sun, I want to offer this. I think many of you know I've never been married. I have no children. I'm 61 years old, and I still believe in love. I have not experienced love, but I know that it's there. And I also know that part of it is for me. Meaning if I haven't experienced love, there was a part of me that was not allowing that love in. I was not aligned to it. So as I start to visualize a partnership in the way that I want, I have much to learn about what my ego tells me. Because society will tell you that if you're of a certain age, you should cut your hair off. You're not viable for this and you're not viable for that. Well, what is this super moon in Scorpio doing but offering us a rebirth? And I feel like for Libras, if for some reason, whatever the partnership is, it could be a work partnership, it could be a family partnership, it could be a friend partnership. There's a lot of partnership involved in Libra, not just intimate partnership. It's about diplomacy. It's about Venusian ruled things. So as you connect with spirit and in some ways identify where you've been prideful, Libra is very cooperative. And sometimes you're cooperative to your own detriment. So you may be feeling a little prideful in the sense of, I've been connecting and doing all the work and nothing's happening. That doesn't mean nothing's happening, because in the angel's advice is Astera saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And then here is again another partnership card for me, because when I see that web and I see that spider, I know that whatever gets in the web is in relationship with this spider to feed it and nourish it. So as we use this full moon to illuminate where Libra has inadvertently operated out of balance. Or I want to offer this as well, because as a Libra sun, I sometimes think I'm communicating in balance and the other party is not in balance. They take my communications and they personalize them and their ego gets hurt. And is it my job as a Libra to overcompensate to make them feel better? Or is it okay for me to just sit and allow them to process it as they do? Because one of the challenging sides of Libra is resentment and passive aggressive behavior, because they don't like to confront. And I have an Aries rising, so I don't have any trouble confronting. One of the things I've had to work on is communicating without being too blunt. And I feel recently I've been up a situation where I thought I communicated really well and the response was rather ego based. And so I got to sit and say, well, this isn't me this time. So Libra, when you're looking at your partnerships, when you're looking at this week and the full moon and what it has to illuminate and the law of attraction, what are your thoughts? What is your focus as you're endeavoring these partnerships? And as you open the door wide, you have an opportunity to say a lot of different things. The timing hasn't been right. Maybe my alignment's been off. Maybe I am aligned and now I'm waiting for the other parties to catch up. This is a lot about assessing things and assessing things from a place where you don't get stuck in a sense of pride for what you are experiencing. All right, let's go on to our Virgos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. Hi, just call me C. Welcome. Good to see you. Jessica, moon and stellium in Virgo. All right, let's go on. Let's see what we got going on. All right, Virgo, our first angel is Sonia. The second is Akasha. The third is Serena. And the final is Grace and Antoinette. It's funny, as I started Virgo, the first thing I was reminded that Spirit has been telling me over and over again, the Virgo is on a journey of the purity of imperfection, the beauty of it. And when I look at Sonia, I can't help but think that she's representing Scorpio today. She's representing this full moon. She's representing rebirth, connection to the other side. Sonia's being joined by restriction. Akasha's being joined by the stag. Serena's being joined by the fire fairy. And Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the hawk. Okay, so Virgo, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I want to say this. When I looked at this, I said initially that I'm feeling the journey of the purity of the journey of imperfection. And when I looked at the restriction card, I did not feel like Virgo was going to be restricted, but rather this represented a pause, and a pause with the opportunity to be illuminated by spirit. It's almost, if you think about it, Mercury is the messenger. Mercury's running all over town, doing everything it needs to do. And I'm thinking Virgo needs to slow it down, to give it a pause so that you can actually be illuminated. This is the teacher card. Akasha is the teacher card. And here is the card of leadership. In some ways, I could think of this again as pride, the way I did with our previous sign, but I don't. I think that this is time for Virgo to stand in leadership. Virgo represents the 6th house, which is the house of service to others. And that service comes from getting off your own case, from stop trying to do everything right and being more authentic to the journey of up and down, right and wrong, black and white, good and bad, because that is what teaches us. So here you have an opportunity to truly relax a little bit, because Serena is here, the angel of abundance, but also of serenity. And then we have the fire fairy. And I want to say this, because those of you that are ruled by Mercury, sometimes the mind just starts to run amok, and you're trying to fall asleep at night, and everything you need to do or haven't done or need to pay or haven't paid, or all those things can start to run through your mind. So as you give life to the idea that right now spirit is asking me to take a pause, to actually reflect on what am I thinking about, and am I thinking about things that I can actually do anything about right now? Maybe not, because if I cannot do anything about it, except contemplate the purity of how it could play out, the purity of the journey of up and down, and what I can experience and how I'm empowered by that dynamic, then I can relax into my abundance and start to be inspired in my thoughts. And in doing so, have compassion for the journey ahead as I start to look for the signs and the omens, and I rise above the minutia of the everyday activities. This is an 11, again, the master number of thought. And when I look at the restriction card, it's a 35, which reduces down to an 8. The 8 is the number of abundance. So I want to say this for my Virgos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums especially, giving yourself an opportunity to take this full moon, and rather than looking at it as illuminating what is out of balance, looking at it to illuminate how out of balance brings you into balance. Flipping the script. Taking the judgment and the criticism off it, changing it to assessment and evaluation, and then allowing yourself to, I think, take a breath, take a pause, relax for a minute. And then as spirit illuminates a path, bravely walking through it as you have compassion for your new sight. That's where I'm going with that. All right, on to our Leos. Butterfly, I'm going to say that's princess, even though it's spelled funky. Good for you for manifesting. See, to me, this is where I want to say manifestation is really not magical. It is alignment, you guys. It is actually standing in the belief and the energy of what it is you want to experience. It's not in the how. The how is where the ego will start to trip you up, because your eyes can only see so much. And if you actually look into science, many animals can see things that humans cannot see. And if animals can see things we can't see, what are the millions of other things that we cannot see? So we have to start to trust an inner knowing. All right, here we go. Well, Stephen, at least Mercury moves fast. That's the good news. Whoop. All right. And if Mercury transiting in Taurus, your natal Mercury, maybe there's somewhere you're being stubborn or you're perpetrating Taurian dynamics that aren't serving you. So there you go. All right, Leo, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Layla. The second is Caressa. The third is Archangel Gabriel. And the final is Shanti. Layla is being joined by the disruption card. Caressa is being joined by the frog. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the earth fairy. And Shanti's being joined by the communications card. Okay, so we have this huge supermoon in Scorpio illuminating death and rebirth. That's the way I want to put it. Because, and I don't think it's death in the physical way. I think it's death of what is not serving us. I think it's in the closing of a chapter of disempowerment. And as we allow for that closing of this chapter, and it's not to say you will never feel disempowered again, but you will operate in a different way as you walk through this, because I really believe that this disruption for Leo is the doorway to your dreams. And the disruption, whatever challenges that you're walking through right now, that this Pluto energy, this retrograde is offering you, is a time to really flesh out your intentions and your desires, and then to stand in leadership for them. And I don't mean leadership to other people, I mean leadership for yourself. Because in the opportunity or the obstacle is Caressa saying you're at the end of a life cycle. And this is offering you an opportunity to use your previous experiences to empower you, to bring you good luck versus pulling you under. Because now is a time to turn over any insecurities and to really look at how you're communicating with spirit and rewrite that story, to start to anchor yourself into a new dynamic. It is not about trying to go back and rewrite what has been, but using today as a launching pad to move forward. So let's give a big example. I believe that Leo is okay. Let me put it this way. We all know that Leo rules the fifth house: romance, fun, personal pleasures and hobbies, personal creative expression, children. I mean, all yummy, fun things in the fifth house. We know that the sun rules the zodiac, all 12 signs. So now I want to take that and move it up an octave. And I want to say that as the leader that Leo represents, are we playing to our personal fun, our what we want to express? Are we playing to our fifth house dynamics? Because that's what I think is so important about this communications and the rewriting. It's to step into that vibration. And rather than looking at the sun coming up against every planet and combusting it, it's asking and illuminating, are you standing in your truth? And if indeed you're not standing in your truth, then we see combustion. Because Leo, here is the angel of peace in the final position, and here is the communications card. And I want to take this much further than just into the conversation, but I want to take this into mercurial dynamics. I want to say that as Leo gets strong with their intentions and their desires, and they understand that the disruption is the doorway to their dreams, that the ending of any chapter is really allowing you to come into a place of more balance, to set the tone for a new dynamic, a new everyday life. And in that life, there's more peace, there's more fun, there's more, even in your challenges, there's more excitement. So that's really where I'm going with this idea. I think that while many people may look at the intensity of this moon, I think it's only going to be as intense as we resist the truth that this moon illuminates. And over the next few months, as Pluto takes this moon on the road and continues to illuminate what is underneath, what is the truth. All right, let's go on to our Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Hello, Rhonda. Welcome. Kitty Cat Black, welcome. Jessica, welcome. On to Cancer. Here we go. Our first angel is Sonia. The second is Grace and Antoinette. The third is Francesca. And the final is Rosetta. All right, Cancer. Sonia very much is speaking to me to be Scorpio today, and it is being joined by the communications card. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the trust card. Francesca is being joined by the high priestess, and Rosetta is being joined by the burden card. Okay, so here we have this full moon in Scorpio. Now, depending upon what house that is for you, I think that's where you're going to see an illumination. And I think what you're going to see, Cancer, is that, this represents a deceased loved one. Scorpio represents birth and death, represents our deceased loved ones. I believe that in many ways that this is your connection to the angelic realm, connection to your loved ones, connection to those that have crossed over, both that have been in the physical and have not been. And the communications card to me now is allowing you the opportunity to start to think of this communication as something that is not imaginary, not wishful thinking, but rather a thinning of the veil that is allowing us to see the dimensions in this planet and in this universe and to start to put them all together. Because here is a time for you to have compassion as you trust an inner knowing. You are ruled by the moon. So regardless of where the moon is full, new, or waning or waxing, you're going to be affected by it. And it's time for you to have compassion as you learn to trust an inner knowing that otherwise maybe you don't. When you sit in such a nurturing energy as Cancer, it can sometimes really mess between your inner knowing and your sense of obligation to help and nurture others. Because right now, I think there's a differentiation going on, an opportunity to illuminate what is yours and intuitive and what is not yours and obligatory. Because Francesca is saying, what do you visualize right now? And then here's the intuitive card. The intuitive card that is asking you to have compassion as you trust from a deeper level that is moving you away from obligation. And that may feel stressful because in the final position, I have the burden card and then I have Rosetta, which is about parenting, teaching, and guiding. So as you, as a Cancer, are being called forth to focus on yourself and allow that focus on yourself to be how you care for others and how you teach others and how you support others. So it's coming from what appears to be a less direct route, rather than jumping in and helping those you love, putting the mask on yourself, as we used to do on planes versus walking into the market, and allowing that to really be the tone that truly sets that nurturing energy. I feel very much that this is about a rebirth of communication, a rebirth of connection, a rebirth of our everyday thinking process. And in doing so, it allows the most loving vibration that we can purport to ourselves and others, which is compassion. And the trust is not outside ourselves to other people, but rather trusting that bigger picture of things and getting used to that. All right, let's go on to our Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Ooh. All right. AR 4000, I go backwards. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. So Sagittarius was done a bit ago. I'm on to Gemini, then we'll do Taurus, and we'll end with Aries. All right, here we go. All right. Our first angel for Gemini is Ray. The second is Archangel Uriel. the third is Yvonne, and the final is Francesca. Ray is being joined by the spider. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the bear. Yvonne's being joined by the protection card. And Francesca is being joined by the risk card. Gemini, Ray talks about yoga and exercise being essential to your well-being, but we see her sitting in an Om position. We see her power chakra as evidenced by the yellow stripe, her heart chakra, the green stripe, and then the blue stripe is the throat chakra. Your connection to the angelic realm right now, your connection to spirit, and this card of partnership is, I believe, integral to you using this moon's energy to its fullest. Because I believe that there's a bit of an illumination happening for you that's reflecting the frustration of your story. Archangel Uriel deals with anger, frustration, and unforgiveness. And while I don't necessarily think this is too necessarily dark, I do think that Gemini is tired of playing with the old story of have not, the old story of waiting for this or waiting for that. And I want to offer it this way, because if you look at the angel's advice, we have Yvonne, which for me is the angel of vulnerability, and then we have the protection card. I believe that there are many people that are walking this planet right now that may look like humans, but their souls are actually leading the way more prevalently. And so as we go through this period of time, this sort of breaking of the cocoon of humanity to become the butterfly, many of us are going to start to experience our greatest successes, our greatest love relationships, our highest vibration of what we want to again experience on this planet, because we're doing that not just for ourselves but for others. So what I'm trying to say is that there's the potential that your history is what it is because the timing was not right for the activation. And now that Pluto is transforming us, it's allowing us to break away from what was dark and didn't serve us to come to the surface. Because for my Geminis, it's time to risk really looking at what you've been thinking, because negativity has blocked your progress. And now it's time for you to step into a vibration where all of this is starting to coagulate to actually serve you. So if you've been in a dynamic where you're like, there's no money, I don't have any money, I can't have any money, I work so hard, there's no money. The illumination is that you keep saying there's no money. It could be very true. You can go to your bank account and see there is no money there. But if you suddenly decide, I'm going to start to get creative, I'm going to start to look at my relationship with spirit, and then I'm going to start to rewrite my history. I'm going to look at that frustration, instead of tanking me, starting to serve me, because I'm going to start writing a new story. I'm going to start saying, you know what? I don't know where that money's coming from, but it's a lottery ticket away. It's walking down the street. You don't know if you're not going to find a bag of money on the ground or even $20, because now it's time for Gemini to really risk looking at your way of thinking and not judging it, not crucifying yourself for not having this epiphany years ago, but knowing that this is an activation, and it is through this veil of unknowing that your true service can flourish, because people see the dynamic and the shift within you. So that's where I'm going. Let's go on to Taurus, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Now, if we think about Taurus and Uranus that is transiting Taurus, Uranus being the higher octave of Mercury, and Taurus being in the opposite sign of Scorpio, there's a lot for me going on right now about transformation of conversation, about illumination of conversation, not just the conversation with others, but the conversation I have in my brain. All right, here we go. Taurus, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Rochelle. The second is Xana. The third is Bridget. And the final is Astera. Joining Rochelle is the Raven. Joining Xana is Merlin. Joining Bridget is the Frog. And joining Astera is the Lady of the Lake. Okay, I want to say this. So Uranus is transiting through Taurus. And, you know, Uranus can give you a nervous breakdown. It can make you feel anxious and all unsettled. And at the same time, it's completely liberating. It is revolutionary. It is rebellious. And when Uranus transited my ascendant, which I did not know was happening, I started my own business. I liberated myself from my old life. And was it unnerving? Yes. Did it take me every single minute? I had to ask myself, what do I really believe about me? Taurus, Rochelle is saying, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, and then the Raven is about magic, coincidence, and synchronistic events. It is time for you to follow the guidance of your heart. And I want to offer it this way because Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus loves the heart. Venus loves to create beauty and magic and harmony and security and yummy food. And it's time for you to know, Merlin says there is magic, there's alchemy to be had. You are being protected. But part of that is that protection comes from following your heart. We talk about Taurus rules the second house. The second house is the house of security, which is actually the house of insecurity, because it wants to know, where is my money? Where is my material security? Your material security comes from your heart and your willingness to sit in that heart, because that is where the true magic and protection lies. Because if Taurus looks deeper into the situation, you've been calling forth for a transformation. You've been wanting to jump from one lily pad to another. And in many ways, being able to sit in a place that's much more authentic to the Venusian dynamic of Taurus, to what you want to create. Astera says in the final position, as you reach for the stars with your dreams and desires, don't compromise. Go to your deepest truth. Stand bravely, holding Excalibur. Yes, there may be some storms. Uranus will bring storms, lightning, thunderbolts, all sorts of things. But as you stand there, you find out the tenacity that you have. You find out that the bullish energy that you hold really is sturdy enough to weather the storm. And in doing so, offers complete transformation. And that transformation is not just for you, Taurus. It is part of the service that you are having. Those of us that meet here on Sunday, those of you that watch this in playback, you are part of a tribe of souls that has agreed to be on this planet at this time to experience these transits, to illuminate, to liberate, and to help humanity rise to their greatest wants and desires. And that's why I go back to the law of attraction and thereby the law of allowing. Because as we become aware of what we are attracting through the guidance of our heart, magic does come and appear. And in doing so, we start to pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. That magic that Merlin is offering is actually the strongest energy there is. It protects me. And then I start to see where I've been sitting in illusion that I needed to clean something up because I've been too much focused on what I needed to clean up versus where I want to go. And as I move there, magic is before me. Well, I was telling a client yesterday that in the last year that I had a job, I didn't realize what I was doing when I was driving home every lunch hour to walk my dog so he could go to the bathroom. I was literally in frustration declaring that would no longer be happening, that soon I would be walking the dog whenever I wanted. My time would be my own. And sure enough, it happened. And when it happened, it didn't happen because someone rolled out a red carpet and said, here, walk down here. No, it was a jagged road of trusting that my momentum was such that I was ready to do this. And if Spirit offered me this opportunity, which was completely disruptive, that disruption was the doorway to my dreams. And my job was to be brave enough and have the courage to walk through it. All right, let's go on to Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, what's happened here? At Love Earth, then send forgiveness to the person, situation. If you cannot forgive it at this time, there are some extreme traumas. It's okay. What happened here? Let me look. Pardon me, everybody. I'm going to go on to the other side. I just want to look real quickly. I can't see what happened. I want to offer this way. Okay, I don't know what happened, but CJD responded to At Love Earth. Oftentimes, when we are in a challenging situation, we can look at ourselves and say, oh my gosh, how did I manifest this? I don't want to be part of this. But sometimes we are of service in the situation. We are not just of service to the other person, but the service to ourselves, because as we stand in a loving vibration of our highest integrity within that situation, there's a ripple effect. And that ripple effect can be very empowering. All right, Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. D, I love that. I love that. You continue to be Venusian. We need that energy on this planet. We get to have it. All right, here we go. Aries, our first angel is Layla. The second is Rochelle. The third is Archangel Gabriel. And the final is Rosetta. Boy, have we seen Rochelle coming out a lot lately. We've seen a lot of opportunities to change the way we think. Layla is being joined by the frog. Rochelle is being joined by the Grail Knight. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the Letting Go card. And Rosetta is being joined by the Raven. Well, this is very interesting to me. Layla talks about our intentions and our desires and connecting with Spirit about it. And there's the frog, releasing me from emotional baggage. You know, the shadow side of Aries is anger, resentment, unforgiveness, bluntness, rudeness, warrior-like, taking no prisoners. I believe that what this is saying for Aries is as you look at your intentions, as you look at your desires, I believe you'll understand that Aries, you are not an angry person. What you are is a person who is willing to put themselves out in the line of fire for what you believe in. And as you step into that vibration, this full moon in Scorpio has an opportunity to give you a rebirth in how you define yourself, because you truly are much more one of the knights of the round table than you are some crazy sword-wielding lunatic just wanting to spew anger and frustration out in the world. Mars is the general to the sun. Mars works in coordination in its highest vibration. So as Aries honors and follows the guidance of your heart, and as you seek the sacred, so much opportunity is offered for you, because now this is a time to actually live your own path. And I say that because the letting go card is let it go from frozen, no right, no wrong, no rules for me. And there's Archangel Gabriel representing our everyday life, our communications. And this is what she's offering you. Aries, as you are willing to use your bravery, your courage, your pioneering spirit, and rather than being angry at those that don't see it, those that have pigeonholed you into this vibration or that vibration, it's irrelevant, because this is where your truth comes out. I'm brave enough and courageous enough not to define myself by what you have experienced. Because if you brought out the more challenging vibrations in me, there was a reason for it. I don't just wield my sword for no reason, because I truly believe that this is about following the inner child, which is much closer to the oversoul, and it's time. It's time to allow yourself to rewrite this definition that's been given to you that is not true. Anger is not something that I think organically comes from the human. I think it's something that's fostered within the human because the human does not get to authentically express itself. And if you think about how we raise our children, we start off good boy, good girl, good human. Who decides what's good and what isn't? Another human. So, Aries, I believe, rounding this whole thing out, you have an opportunity to allow this full moon in Scorpio to give you a rebirth as you allow yourself to redefine yourself, not as an angry, aggressive, blunt person that's difficult, but rather a person who is courageous, to stand in the truth of your own vibration. And then rather than feeling like you have to fight to convince other people, you put your sword down and say, believe me or don't believe me. Align with me or don't align with me. I am willing to pioneer into my own new territory. And in doing so, whether you like it or not, you will experience the higher vibrations of me as an Aries, as a leader. All right, that's what I got. That's this week. I want you guys really to start to think about the laws of attraction, and not that you're just attracting crap or a parking space, but that you're attracting opportunities. And as you examine those opportunities, if they are disruptive, is it an opportunity for you to let go or to put in its proper place a vibration that has not served you, but that has become habitual? So I do think this is a wonderful full moon, even though some people might say it's intense and scary. And I do believe that this final, which I believe is final for a while, retrograde from Pluto, is offering us really an excavation, and not to look at the dark dirt, but to rather transform that dirt and that darkness into the manure that creates the flowers and the beauty in your garden. All right, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, intuitive guide, and empowerment coach. If you'd like to book a reading with me, you can find me on Lada's website under the reader's menu. And I will be back next week on Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time with more messages from your angels for traversing the transits. Have a great week, everybody. Sending lots of love to you. Peace.